so I took fast ironing, iron that sucker out.
Now you're here.
Yeah, now I'm here, and I'm all like, I feel very sweaty.
It's very hot. It's very hot in the convention center.
Hot, even though
It
they're
is.
far away.
It's all good though, because we're about to get into a very hot series between Ganzi and MarineKing Prime. Now we have the group. We have the groups there on the other screen. I don't know. No, y'all can't see it, but I can go ahead and describe it to you. That's why I'm here. We have MarineKing and Sase are currently 1-0 in Group A. Ganzi and MC are 0-1 in Group A as well, which means MarineKing took out MC. I heard that was an electrifying series. Of course, that was on the mainstream. And then Sase took out Ganzi, which a lot of people might be surprised with.
I mean, that's a upset in most people's books, I would say. Sase, obviously a very solid player. Nothing to discredit him about, but a lot of people were counting on the green hair and Ganzi to take that one with maybe not so much relative ease, but to go 2-1 in there. Instead, Sase ends up going 2-1, and that's a big win for Sase. I mean, that'll definitely get him a confidence boost going into his next round of matches.
And every single match is super important in this group play format. It could decide how far ahead you are in that championship bracket. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the game. You have to click over it on the scoreboard. Yeah, there it is. We can see the screen loading MLG dual site MarineKing Prime versus Slayer Cell, who is actually Ganzi, which you can see on your screen right there. And they are in the correct locations, which is very nice indeed. But here we go. Let me go ahead and introduce the players. The middle left-hand location on the map of dual site, we have the Blue Terran player, Ganzi. From Team... Actually, he's not in Team Slayers anymore.
No,
he's not. He's a free agent. So, you know, a free agent in an MLG, there's a different angle you have to consider. You're playing for more than just a lot of money. You're playing... This is like your... This is your resume. This is your tryout to be on a team, in essence. If Ganzi can go out and win this tournament, he's going to be on a team. Let's just go ahead and say that. Middle right-hand location, we have his opponent lost to MC in the first series of the entire tournament. It is MarineKing Prime. Oh, yes, he beat MC. You're correct.
It's actually not
you know, both names start with M. So we'll go with that. I wasn't fortunate enough to actually watch the series. How was it? Did you end up watching it? Since you were, I mean, you're probably watching on your iPhone running between locations. Yeah.
But yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic series. MC had a very solid defense against a very heavy mid-game pushes.
Right.
But eventually that, you know, punches and bunches, I want to say, here from MKP just kept coming at MC.
That's awesome. Good for MKP. I mean, again, getting those early wins in your belt, especially against a player like MC, that's huge. MKP, some may call like a favorite of this tournament. We'll have to see what he can do. Ganzi, a very good player in his own right. Unfortunately for him, he did lose to Sase in his first tournament of the series. But let's talk about the openings really quick. TVT, you gotta look at those gas timings. We can see Ganzi going for that fast gas. And MarineKing's is a little bit later, so there's that to consider. We can click on the submitter and see, oh, 8 has been taken from this one, and we can see a lot more. About 70 has been taken from this one. So that does imply Ganzi is going to go for some sort of factory opening. You know, could go into mech pretty fast. It remains to be seen. You know, could go into fast Banshees. MarineKing Prime, we'll have to see what he does. Loves those Marines, but again, this is TVT. Pretty much anything can happen, to be honest.
Yeah, one thing I've actually seen from Ganzi, pardon me, while he goes for a fast gas like that, he goes into a really, really fast Banshee immediately, followed by Command Center.
Yeah.
And then follows up with Heli and Marine, and then transitions from there. So we'll have to see if that's the case from here. Again, very fast second gas, though, so this could in fact be float Banshees.
You're absolutely right. Of course, the second gas, it definitely implies, you know, investing heavily into Banshees, perhaps. Cloaca as well. Looks like MKP getting a fast second gas as well. Again, important to note, his gases are a little bit, behind his opponent. But right now, the factor going down for both of these players. So pretty identical builds thus far. Ganzi just a tad ahead.
There's no discrepancy here. We see the start bar going down on the 10 lap, so no doubt that would be in fact for Banshee, unless he chooses to go for a very fast frame as well. That's always a possibility. I see more and more Terrans starting to use that now in CBT. Maybe I'll take a look at MKP's base. I'm wondering what he's going to be doing with that fast second gas. Looks like he's moving up to a reactor now on his barracks. And actually, yeah, he's going for more so a hidden starport now.
Yeah. Now this is interesting. His starport isn't positioned in a location where it can tremendously easily be placed on another add-on. So This leads me to think he's going to go straight for a Viking, which is not a bad decision at all. Looks like a Hellion coming out of that factory as well as 2 Marines at a time. Meanwhile, Ganzi putting a barracks on that reactor, putting a tech lab onto his factory, and he's going into Banshee production. No cloak just yet. Might just start siege up pretty fast here, but it looks like it's going to be a medevac from MarineKing Prime. So he wants to hit pretty hard here. You know, he's probably going to drop some stuff in the back of Ganzi's base.
Yeah, we're looking to see where the medevac will come in. Obviously, they'll come in from the back around the base.
Yeah.
No expansion quite yet for Ganzi. Looks
Right.
like both players are just content sitting off this one base. MKP does have vision of both watchtowers. Meanwhile, Ganzi doesn't have much of either player, actually. Not really having any information whatsoever.
They might be playing against the computer for all they know because they have not scouted each other whatsoever. That being said, it looks like the first scout going to be in the form of a Banshee from Ganzi. Going to advance towards his opponent's side of the map. Meanwhile, MKB pushing forward with a lot of Hellions and Marines. There's a medevac here as well. That's going to be very good for healing up these Marines once they get damage. Once damage is done towards them, might just pick up and go to the main. But no, engagement's going to happen here. MKP leading with the Hellions. Take on the field, though, for Ganzi. Is that going to be enough to hold this off? Six. It's not bad.
Not an immense.
I don't think the Banshee paid for itself.
Yes.
Which is the important part of that. You know, you can theorize all you want, but as it stands, Income Tab shows 27-19 in favor of Ganzi. So wow, that's a huge advantage for him, especially at this point in the game. And it makes me wonder, when is he going to take his natural expansion? He doesn't have a lot of money. Is he just going to get a bunch of units and then push? Is he going to take his expansion? It remains to be seen right now. And then look at this. He's adding on another barracks. I think he's going to stay on one base for a while. I mean, you know, I don't know.
This is sort of a rarity, actually. That we don't really see too much nowadays in CBT. Players taking it one rack faster.
Yeah.
For, you know, faster command centers. But we're seeing, you know, we're at 8:30 right now in the game, and no expansion whatsoever. So
Yeah.
Players, they're going to make a very heavy push against each other. It looks like Ganzi is sort of poking in there. He's just securing.
It's tentative. This is interesting.
Exactly. That's the exact word.
Yeah. So a barracks on the way for Ganzi, adding on more medevacs. The army from MarineKing Prime coming forward. He's not done with his aggression. Smelled blood in the first engagement, but honestly, Ganzi has the better unit composition here. Siege is not yet done for him. MarineKing Prime about just finished siege, and he could siege up here and try to start poking away at the army of Ganzi.
Yeah, he's just going to play siege right now. Low ground using his Vikings for high ground vision. Just pushing on back. They feel very uncomfortable. Just look very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of feels like a very tight blanket around the neck, and he's just getting kind of choked out here. Here we go. Scan goes down. Looks like it's not quite done yet. He's pulled off yet again. So back now. Ganzi is just buying time right now. Needs that siege to finish. He's saving
Yeah.
scans so he can get that vision over siege things to counteract the movement of World.
Now, what's interesting here as well, MarineKing Prime has that air control. No Vikings on the field for Ganzi. MarineKing Prime advancing up into the main base of Ganzi. Ganzi has a bunch of tanks sieged here. A lot of these Marines being picked apart, but the tanks being target fired there by MarineKing Prime. All the tanks go down, barring one for Ganzi. Landing his Viking, picking up his weakened units. Those are Vikings inside of medevac silence. Oh my god.
Beautiful target firing, taking down most of the siege tanks here from Ganzi. He's only left
Oh.
dropping the Vikings. Watch on siege tanks now.
Oh.
Now we're picking up, puts down. And it looks like
Oh
that's
my
gonna be
god.
for this first game here. MKP
Incredible.
convincing victory here. Actually, in the main base of MKP, actually on the map.
Oh, wow.
Maybe drop here, but there is just going to be enough units there. There's just not enough
No.
damage there for Ganzi.
Wow. I think MarineKing Prime completed that master challenge because that micro with the medevac was fantastic. So there it is. Ganzi throwing down the GG. MarineKing Prime gonna take Enmer 1.
Wow, what a fantastic game. Again, a rarity of one base versus one base there. A perfect time push by MKP, where as he got to the natural expansion of Ganzi, siege mode finished right on time. You see those little things there from MKP. You can see why he's doing so well at this MLG.
Yeah, it was it was interesting too because you remember the income tab a little bit earlier. We saw MarineKing Prime had a severe harvester disadvantage. He was down like 10 SEVs, and he was able to come back from that. That's what it came down to. I always like saying what it comes down to. What it came down to, I thought, was the fact that Siege Mode finished so much further before for MarineKing. You know, he was able to siege up, had that positioning outside of his opponent's main base at his natural expansion, not letting him go anywhere. And Ganzi's in this awkward situation where he's waiting for Siege Mode to complete. So he's like going around his base wondering what to do because he can't engage the army. He can't do it. It was too strong. You know, you're not going to go straight up against Siege Mode like that. No, it's just not. You're not going to.
Yeah,
do that.
And not only the Siege Mode finishing there is the higher Viking count for MarineKing. I mean, we have to take that into account as well, where that allowed him for his sieging to be even that much more effective. So, you know, with that, it helped immensely and made that push even more and more deadly. There just wasn't enough units, and it looked like actually Ganzi was focusing more on economy there. And, I mean, the Banshee did do a lot of damage for Ganzi.
Yeah.
It looked like, but the counterattack from MKP obviously was just, bar none, way too strong there.
Yeah, that being said, we're about to jump into game number 2 between these two players. I'm not sure if we're supposed to take a commercial break or anything. Do you know? I don't know either.
I just got here, so
well, whoever's watching the stream is lucky because we're just going to go straight into it. You know, we're not going to wait.
No, you guys don't want commercials
we're
anyway.
We're not going to wait.
You're gold members. You guys are nerd ballers.
Nerd ballers. Or they're watching a restream.
No one does that, Axel.
You're right. No one does that.
That is a terrible crime against humanity.